Hey everyone, I'm Hotep, the goddess astrologer and alchemical initiatrix. This is the Libra Full Moon video for April of 2023. We're going to get into it immediately. Let's go. I'm just going to share this screen with you. Just give me 1 second. Zoom wants to be funky. So this is a big month for April. We have eclipse season starting, Mercury retrograde at the end of the month, Jupiter Sun conjunction, and so much more happening. We have a lot going down and a nodal change happening this summer. So the last time the node shifts every 18 months. The nodes are 2 calculated points of the moon and tell us our point of fulfillment, our destiny, our soul's journey, what we're trying to learn and grow through, the shadow and where we're meant to go. And so every 18 months, the nodes shift, and it's the flavor, it's the underlining story to our lives every 18 months. And January 29th, 2022, last year, January, the node shifted into that Taurus North node and Scorpio South node. And so how are you doing in the Taurus Scorpio nodal axis, all about money, finances, self-value, other people, merging sexuality, sensuality, and about earth and emotions and the water consciousness and the earth consciousness. The 4 elements are conscious and they're alive. We live in a living universe. The science would like to tell you that it's a mechanical, mechanized, dead universe. Even people that are doing some of the latest research that's really excellent, adding to our understanding of the awakening and the shifts and what's happening for us and for humanity right now, for our species, are still looking through the lens of a mechanized dead world. And so it's interesting to always look at, like, the ophthalmologist puts the lens on and takes it off, like, what lens are you looking through? It's so important, because is it the lens of a program of the patriarchy, of the dominator model? Because realize all those people with imposter syndrome that you're looking to in your mind, get clear on who they are, what the images are that comes up when you think about, like, who you're worried about looking good to, for lack of a better way to say it, or scared of, or nervous around. Who are those people in your mind? Is it a group? Is it an organization? Is it the wider world out there? Only is it a certain town, city? Because Libra is about social belonging. It's about belonging. And I'm sure for everyone that's listening, most likely relationship stuff has exploded for you. Relationship issues have exploded, but they could be in ways that you wouldn't expect, not necessarily with other people, but just your issues in relationships, what you're needing and longing for that you don't have, where you are walking on broken eggshells, where you are still accepting behavior from other people that isn't aligned with soul and who you really are. So we're going to go into all of these really important issues with this Libra full moon, because it's powerful, because this is hearkening to the summer in July, when the nodes shift again and we go into that Aries North node and that Libra South node. And Libra, what's shadow Libra? Because that's the South node, codependency. Being fair to everyone else but yourself, not taking care of self, not being autonomous, really looking to understand your own life only through other people, and waiting for other people to define you and to make you even exist, letting other people have the glory and basking in their glory instead of in your own independence and being your own identity and your own who you are-ness. Like, what is the you? Aries is I am. And the Libra is the other. And so with Libra, it's about justice and fairness and balance, but balance isn't static. When I'm in handstand, I'm a circus artist, so I'm doing handstands. And when I'm in handstand, there's all these micro corrections. Now, you wouldn't notice it with the naked eye, but I am moving. There's constantly a movement of me correcting. There's the brakes and the gas pedal with my hands to stay in a handstand, stay balanced while my legs are moving and doing different artistic movements and tricks and so forth. And so balance is not an equality of things. You don't brush your teeth for as long as you sleep. It's not an equality of of fairness with other people. Balance is what feels good, and what feels good is dictated by your heart and your soul. And Aries is that fierceness, that bravery, that boldness. It's not fearlessness. We have to understand Aries, that because when we're talking about Libra, we always have to talk about the polarity, because it's always an integration of the two. That when we talk about Aries, it's not fearlessness. Fearlessness means brave in the face of fear. It means dauntless, this dauntlessness. And so relationships have exploded somewhere in your life. Many, you might be seeing it out in the street. Where are things breaking down? Where have you had to kick somebody out of your life? Where are you realizing you've outgrown things? You're not tolerating bad behavior, abusive behavior anymore. You're waking up from being habituated to abuse, because we've been in a society that's been run by narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths, the definition of which is malicious intent to harm. The definition of sociopath is no empathetic intelligence, no feelings, no emotions. They can mimic it, but they, particularly narcissists, mimic it to charm you and to romance you and to trick you. But they don't actually feel empathy themselves somatically. That's why they can hurt, because they don't feel hurt. And we have to really look at social belonging. So social belonging is so important when we talk about Libra here, the moon, 16 degrees of Libra in the house of opposite the sun. And we want to look at social belonging, because here's the thing, is that most of society is motivated by social belonging. So a full moon is always this grand illumination, the peeking out of the full light of the moon opposite the sun. So it's always an opposition to the sun. So again, that polarity of that Aries Libra axis. And this full moon is ruled by Venus, who just came off this Venus-Uranus conjunction, which is the eclectic valuing of self, being the individual, and just being the one who is going against and bucking the status quo. Venus at home in Taurus is very strong. And so that Uranus and that North Node are so strong. And our North Node is saying, here's the pathway to destiny, to not be all up in the psychodramas and complexities and black and white thinking and the hiding away, cutting away Mars, or destruction of relationships, Scorpio South Node, rather being in that building and growing and nurturing of Venus relationships, harmony, what we love, what we're wanting to see, the new earth, Uranus in Taurus, the new world, the new paradigm, bucking the status quo, the old ways that haven't worked, and the dominator culture that's been controlling society, the narcissists, the psychopaths, the sociopaths. The people that you're looking to with imposter syndrome are those people. They are those people, because anyone you're looking to that you care about what they think are not the narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths, because they're busy creating, they have a good vibe, they have a good energy, they're doing their inner work, or maybe they're just sleepwalking or in the matrix or whatever. But it's like the 80% of us versus the 10 to 20% of the sociopaths and psychopaths and narcissists. The reason why I bring this up that's so powerful, and I'll kind of just share a bit at first, the reason why I bring this up is because it's really important to understand this overarching theme of, we're in the time of the great healing from now until 2032. We're also probably in the time of the great healing for the rest of our lives, because we're awakening, we're changing over the tide, the seas of humanity's existence thus far, where we really went through the precession of the equinox, where we were in the Aries era and then the Pisces era, and now moving into the Aquarius era. And so it's just this, the Aries era was this, warrior, the archaic warrior programming and the authoritarian and the dominator model. We haven't really come out of that. The Pisces helped, but Pisces is divine love and creativity, but it was more like escaping all the abuse that we went under during Aries in that 2000 years. And we really just kept war perpetuating, because the dominators stayed in control and power. And it's really such a small percentage. Here's the thing. Everybody else has been programmed and brainwashed by that model of living life. And so so many people are just simply going along with the programming unwittingly. Some people understand it and are participating, thinking that they can use it to their advantage, but really the truth is they're just chasing their tails and on the hamster wheel, going nowhere. There's no destination. It's not linear. That's not how life works. We just look to the sun going up, sun going down, the 4 seasons, the changing of the moon. We look to as above, so below, as in the universe, so in the soul. We look to around us to see the truth of life, and that all of life is living. And so having programmed by narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths to not feel emotions. And so most of humanity is waking up to their emotions and like trying to figure out, like, how do I deal with all these emotions? Fuck, there's hundreds of them. Like, what do I actually do with all of them? And what do I do? And people that haven't been on the journey and working with emotions and have real skill sets are really being buffeted around in the ocean of the changing evolution right now. One of the other overarching things to understand is that humanity is changing from a ego mind dominant species into a intuitive feeling dominant species. So this is another overarching theme or perspective to really understand about life. Like, what are the lenses we're looking through? We're looking through the lens of a living universe, because then we don't ruin the habitat in which we live in that provides us with the home and life. And we have empathetic intelligence. We have to realize that so many people are in the programming that came from narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths that want control for control's sake, that don't have feeling, that don't feel hurt, that want to hurt and control because they just want to control for control's sake. But we have to realize that we are 80%. And some of the 80% is the sleepwalking in the matrix. Their souls aren't ready to wake up yet, or you peek out into the awakening. You're like, holy fuck, this is crazy out here. Cognitive dissonance. I don't know anybody else that can support me or give me guideposts. I don't even know what I'm doing. Reality doesn't make sense anymore. I'm going to go back into the fantasy land, go back to the Stepford Wife, go back to the matrix, go back to the programming, go back to the fantasy or escapism or drugs or just the South Node issues that person has individually in their chart. And so then, a part of society is sleepwalking. And so we have to realize that it's only 10 to 20%. And out of that 10 to 20% of those sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, there is tons of them that are just unconscious and doing that, and abusers. There's tons of them that are malicious, but they're not the ones that are trying to pull bigger strings in the world. That percentage is so tiny. It's like 0.0001% or something insanely tiny. We don't have to be scared. There's no spiritual war going on. We live in an oppositional universe where there's malevolence and benevolence, and it's mostly benevolence. There's clumsiness and stupidity and ignorance and all those things. There's everywhere on the spectrum of intelligence to ignorance just being without knowledge or know-how, but there's everywhere on the scale of benevolence to malevolence. And a lot of the malevolence is really having been trained by the truly malevolent, thinking that that's what we're supposed to do in life and just going that way because they could get by, or they were trying to get with the program, like, what's the program? How do I survive here? And so they went that direction, and they just need woken up. So the more of the 80% of us that are awake, shining our light, speaking our truth, being autonomous, Aries of the Libra, interdependent in relationships, Libra, not motivated by social belonging, shadow Libra, not in codependency, shadow Libra, not in relationships that are abusive and habituated to abuse because we're in trauma bonds, shadow Libra. And because social belonging, if we're motivated by that, then we are not actually living our truth and our autonomy and what we want. So if 80% of us radiate our light, wake the hell up, keep waking up, even with the cognitive dissonance and the hardness of it at times, the challenge of it at times, we keep being the pillars of light that keep lifting humanity and the frequency and the vibration overall. All we have to do is speak our truth, be your authentic self, let joy and love lead you to the right places. Trust that they will lead you to the right places. Follow your intuition, tap in, listen inward. Really get into a meditation practice I recommend, because Pluto's in Aquarius and going into Aquarius permanently after November of next year. And permanently as in like 20 some years. So, it feels pretty permanent for a chunk of that, 2 decades. And then Uranus is going into Gemini, 2 air signs, a lot of air. The thing is, it's not about thinking. Air, what is air? Because Libra is air. So back to my point, it's all we have to do is radiate our light. There's nobody to fight. There's no spiritual war going on. Of course, there's malevolence because we live in a oppositional universe, but we're not fighting anyone. And if you look through that lens, if you choose to look through the lens that there's a spiritual war, then that's what you're creating. And so you're putting that into the zeitgeist. You're also putting that into quantum entangling with that. You're making that true for your experience of life. And so your brain will show you only that as truth, because your brain doesn't care what it shows you, what it proves true. It will just prove true whatever thought you're thinking, because your thoughts are the software program running on the hardware of your brain. Our brain is a biological computer and is very, very powerful and magical and creates our reality. It created trees into houses. We had to think about that and imagine that and dream that. Pisces, Saturn and Pisces, and then make it to reality, Saturn. So this is really, truly real, that we create our reality. And so I really encourage you to look at the lenses that you're looking through and look at who you're listening to out there and what they're saying, because there's no spiritual war. There's simply malevolence in this universe. Just like with humans, there's narcissistic people, there's abusive people, but our society got really habituated to that, really habituated to dysfunction. It was sold to us, the Jerry Springer shows and all the talk shows, everybody fighting in the drama and the reality TV. Let's make it more drama and more drama and more drama, because nobody sits and watches otherwise. When you read the great adventure stories, you want to be close to the brink of death, because them coming back from the brink of death, that's what makes it so interesting. So it can kind of help you on your own challenges and journey, realizing that this is, life's an adventure in the way that like it truly is. Like, wow, look at the shit that's went down in my life and what I've been through. And it can be really supportive and nurturing to kind of take on that perspective, actually, that I wouldn't want to I didn't want to have a boring ass life, but damn, sometimes it's very challenging. But it helps you, Taurus North Node, know your resourcefulness and who you really are, and to claim your power, to reclaim your power, particularly as a woman. So a few points: that social belonging, if we're motivated by social belonging, by wanting to fit in, by wanting to be a part of the group, by wanting to be secure and safe and feel stable through other people and groups and affiliations and all of this, and convention, because shadow Libra is convention and the status quo and keeping up with the Joneses, appearances, aesthetics, how things look. It's all like the kind of crappy marketing of like, well, how does this appear? Do you look like you're in the in crowd? Like, who am I? What's my status? Like, who am I surrounded by? Do they make me look better? All of that is shadow Libra. And so if we're motivated by those things, and we're not motivated from our heart, we're motivated from the ego, from our mind, we're motivated from shit, that means that we're not directing our lives and creating our big, wild, audacious life, that we're not really living the life we really want. We're living some program. We're living by some group. If people don't want you for the wild, amazing person you are, why do you want them? For stability, for comfort, for known factor, for known quantity. Before I go into the chart, something else to understand about Libra is that Libra is an air sign. And so all the air signs, Aquarius and Gemini and Libra, they're all very different ways that our human brain thinks and so forth. And Libra is very diplomatic. It's very cooperative. It's about partnership. It sees from all angles. It wants to organize and community build, and it wants to look at all the different perspectives. The shadow side can be debilitated and indecision, not doing anything, not knowing what to do, feeling lost for direction. And yet Libra is a directional cardinal sign. So with the air quality, what I want to encourage you is that our primitive limbic fear brain is just going to repeat the same habits over and over and over and over and over again, because it's comfortable. because our brain doesn't want to expend much energy, because to our limbic brain, our fear brain, our primitive brain, that feels scary, like death. Like we might run out of energy and then we won't be able to like fight and flight if we need to. And I don't want to expend more energy than I have to. Your brain actually functions in that way. It doesn't care. That part of your brain does not care if you accomplish your dreams. It does not care if you do something amazing in this world, if you self-actualize, if you go into the soul evolution of your North Node, if you make waves, if you have the things that you want in life, if you have the great relationships. It only cares if you're breathing. And you could be breathing in a ditch with nothing. You could be breathing in limbo. You could be breathing in a desert with no water. You could be breathing, but unhappy, not living the life that you love, not fulfilled, not self-actualized, and like doing all that you're capable of. Don't you want to step into the greatness of your possibilities? A lot of people are like, it's a lot of work. I'm comfortable here. A lot of people are comfy. They feel safe and stable and comfy, and why shake it up? And so until they're provoked with illness or some dastardly experience, they don't change. They're not provoked. They don't want to. And I think this is really true for all of us. Just a lot of us came in and we were going to be provoked, and we were provoked. And so we woke up, and some of us really actually love it. And it's a lifestyle. For me, it's a lifestyle to grow and change and evolve. And I just wouldn't be satisfied any other way. Remember, Libra is not static just because it's about balance and harmony. Harmony takes all of the instruments playing together in harmony, constantly adjusting and matching and listening, hearing. We listen, but do we hear? You know, it's a two-way. It's not a monologue. It's a dialogue. It's actually hearing the other person out. And so with air, with your limbic fear brain, you have this prefrontal cortex that can think about its thinking and can make decisions. And you can have your magical prefrontal cortex tell the primitive fear brain, no, we are going to expend energy. We are going to think something different, because that's what it takes to accomplish my big dreams, is to think something different that I've never thought before. Because to create your dreams, you have to think something you're not thinking right now, because what you're thinking right now is creating what you have right now. So to create your big, wild dreams, to shine light into this world, to step into the next level of revenue and visibility, it takes thinking something different than you're thinking right now. And it takes moving in a direction. And so your brain's going to have to expend energy and be willing to be uncomfortable. And our brains just simply don't want to do that. And then if you have nervous system freak out on top of that, then you have another layer. So this is everything we do in She Alchemy. That enrollment is open. You can go to the Goddess Astrologer right now and click the banner at the top of the page to find out more. You can just go check it out and find out more. You're going to get 4 hot seat soul sessions shift with me a month, where we're going to learn astrology. You're going to live your life by the stars through astrology and really understand astrology and heal through the zodiac. I teach real techniques that actually work to heal, because I searched for 34 years on what actually works, and when they're working and they stop working, why, and how do I make them function, and what are the best techniques on the cutting edge and the leading edge that actually help people heal the fastest, that empowers them so they don't need me, that they have for the rest of their life. How do we live this lifestyle of upgrading and stepping into the next level of visibility, the next level of visibility, making $1 million as a woman, owning property, because putting your value system into this world, creating this new earth together, raising frequency and helping other humans become free as well. So if you want to be the one in control of your brain and not let your fear brain puppet you around, and not have your nervous system feared out all the time, which means you don't do projects, don't take action, don't get out of shitty relationships, don't start the business, don't do the things you really want to do, sign up for She Alchemy, because it's going to change your life. Let's get into the charts. It's really powerful. I'm going to do the sun sign horoscopes. I hope that makes sense about the social belonging, that, wanting to fit in, all of that's about that shadow Libra, because it's such a strong drive, because our fear brain, our primitive brain, sees not belonging as death. Exile means death. So if somebody doesn't like you, oh my God, I'm going to die, because I'm going to be out in the wilderness with no support, because we are community creatures. But here's the thing: is your community based on shadow things, or is your community based on your heart, who you really are, they accept you, love you, really want you to prosper and have success? They lift you up, encourage you, inspire people that you can encourage and lift up and inspire. So this full moon at 16 degrees, I've been talking about how this is the last of the full moons at 16 degrees. We've had 7 is the number of spirit, Neptune. 7 is spiritual number, means soul, and all that is, from whence we come, and spirit and soul. And then the full moons we've had 7 full moons at 16 degrees, which breaks down to a 7, and then we have it at 7 minutes. So 7, 7, 7. I mean, it's just like spiritual. The universe is just talking so loudly with the Saturn, the society moving into the sign of soul, society based upon soul, society based upon intuition, society catalyzed Saturn to heal finally. And we've been on this healing journey, but more and more layers. And those that have already done a chunk of the bulk work, like healing past life traumas, really pretty solid, living it as a lifetime, to where there's not the hard stuff anymore. And you really handle it when things do get provoked, and you know what it is, and you're just not thrown off, and you really have emotional agency. A lot of people just don't have emotional agency. Emotions really throw them out. They don't even know what to do. They shut down completely, or just escape, or go into drugs, or just call people, or scroll. It's like these emotions are your soul talking to you about power that is there for you to retrieve. Emotions, it's like say you just had a little child and you just ignored its emotions, which a lot of parents do. I was at a gas station once, and this little girl was there, and she was crying, and the father was just, there's another kid there too, and the father was just doing his thing, and I just bent down to her, and I said, what's wrong, honey? And she's like, I'm sad. And I'm like, you're sad? And she's like, yeah, I'm sad. I'm like, oh, I hear you, sweetie. And I just loved her, sent her good energy, just wrapped her around, her with a hug energy, and just really heard her and looked in her eyes, and she just lit up. It just dissipated away because she was heard and witnessed. That's what our emotions need. But we've stuffed them down since childhood. So when we start to deal with them, we often have stacks of emotions, and there's so much in there, and life just keeps happening. But here's the thing: once you start dealing with them and working with them, you become so fluid and proficient, and they don't throw you off, and you know what the hell to do with them, and you know what they are, and you know what they mean, and you know what your soul is speaking to you. Start to develop this depth of intimacy with your own self, that the relationships you are longing for, or think that you're longing for, are now available to you, because your depth of intimacy with self has grown, that you can only accept relationships where you can have that depth of intimacy, where someone else can meet you there, where they have done the work to that level and depth as well. So you're detracting abusive people and yucky people, and they may come in, but they bounce off, and they leave quicker and quicker and quicker as you do this healing, and this more going inward, and this more connection to your soul and your heart, and who you really are, Aries, in relationships, and what you really love, and getting to know yourself. And we just need witness. And that's what's so beautiful about Libra, is like conscious Libra is compassionate and loving and witnessing and listening and hearing, and so wanting to hear the other person. And it's very compassionate presence. The Arcturus sits in Libra at this time. It's like the that energy of just benevolence and love, and also in a conscious way, like the interdependence, not taking any shit, like seeing things for what, like shadow Libra, like is like compassionate to a fault and doesn't see where we need to have some Aries of like, no, this isn't okay. And we need to get this out, and the assertiveness of Aries and the warrior of Aries, if need be, taking someone out if need be, and they don't belong there, you know, but the amazingness of Libra is being able to really have that discernment of the Aries, of really having that ability to shine love where it's deserved, and to be really strong and assertive about like, this doesn't go here, no, this doesn't belong, this isn't okay, abuse isn't okay, no, I'm not going to be habituated to abuse anymore, no, you're not going to make me wrong because you're triggered, no, you're not going to say that there's something wrong with me and try to pathologize me, which means to make you feel like you're abnormal because you're not okay with somebody's abusive behavior. Abusers like to make you wrong when you call them out on the abuse, right? There's a lot of pathologizing. So this full moon is illuminating all of these things, and particularly where you're trying to belong from things that are not built of the soul. The universe is speaking so loudly to us about soul. Are we building Saturn upon soul? Taurus North Node, are we building upon heart and love, Venus and the new Earth, Uranus and Taurus, that Venus having just come off that Uranus conjunction where they were talking and getting together and really aware of what's important. And so Venus ruling this full moon is bringing us back to what's really matters, love. And when we talk about love, what does that mean to you? Is that you know, are you only thinking about romantic love, or do you think about the all that is, the Gestalt, the Pisces, unconditional love? I'm going to share my screen with you and go over the map of consciousness. Because on the map of consciousness, this is a piece of work done by Dr. Hawkins. He was a psychologist that really specialized in psychological cases that were said to be irreparable. You know, just people gave up on them. And he specialized in that. And then he did this body of work, you know, in psychology. He has a massive practice in the New York area, I believe. And then he went on to meditate and kind of shut all that down and meditated and went into what's said to be a state of enlightenment. I don't tend to like that word because I don't think we understand it in this context. But let's just say he went to a place where, you know, completely where he didn't need to be in the body anymore, and reached a point of awakening to such a point. And he chose to come back into the body and to teach this great work. It doesn't make him flawless. It doesn't mean every single thing he says is right on, anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. We have to stop putting people on pedestals, and particularly galactic guides or galactic beings or angels or any, like, we have to stop putting people over us, and we be the Aries autonomous leader within our own being and have our own authority. Saturn, if you don't have your authority, someone's going to come Saturn on you. They're going to author your life, and they're going to tell you what to do. And believe me, there's all the 20% of the narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths that are lined up and ready to do it. So you must be the authority within yourself. Otherwise, somebody is going to be your authority. And it might be at micro levels that are nuanced that you can't quite see, just how you're always looking to someone else for the way and the path. And there's nuance. There's the way to do it, to get guidance, ideas, understandings, to learn and grow, all of that. But then there's doing it where it's like, I can't make a decision unless I look to this, or I don't feel safe unless I look to this. That's, you know, basing your security and stability outside of yourself. Most people base it on their house, their money, all of these types of externals. And when that's eradicated, tornado, family issues, deaths, whatever, then what is keeping you stable if you don't build it inside yourself through emotions, through your magic brain, your prefrontal cortex that you have to, with the air element and consciousness, to create your life, to question your thoughts that are typically based off fear, based off programming, based off lenses that maybe you don't want to look through once you really question it and say, like, do I want to live in a world that I don't think is alive? Do I want to live in a world where I think there's a spiritual war going on and I'm scared all the time? Because there's not, there's just malevolence and benevolence. And it's actually pretty like awesome amount of benevolence compared to the malevolence. And we really do have the power within ourselves. And it's a different era. It's a different era. It's Aquarius era. It's the era of the people, but we have to choose it individually and go towards that. We didn't really do a good job in Pisces, like, you know, but I mean, there was a lot to do. So a lot of people did and led the way, and Hawkins was one of them. So if we look at the map of consciousness, it's a logarithmic scale. He did kinesiological testing. So if you think about muscle testing, and he did millions of tests and collected this data, and it's this massive data set, and he developed this scale, and it's something for us to look to that's really helpful, because before, this is much different now, but before, most of the world population was below courage on this scale. So what this means is that 400 to 499, that's kind of like Einstein, and people that are really thought of as brilliant are at this like 400 to 499 level. They tend to kinesiologically test to be at that level. And so there's, you know, smarts and brilliance and knowledge coming from them, and insights and exploration. Their view of life, they view life as meaningful, but actually a lot of them view life as mechanistic. So, you know, again, this is kind of a baseline, and then we have to understand the nuances. But the point is that the level of reason he puts at 400. So he just assigns numbers to these levels of consciousness to understand, like, understand organizations or understand books. Like, if I read this book, is this book at 800 and it's very benevolent, or is this book at the level of anger or at the level of pride? Pride is below 200, below courage, meaning that it's close to death. So the more you go down on the scale, the closer to death you get. So apathy, feeling apathetic, means we don't really have any life force energy. That solar plexus chakra, our actual life force, that is a pranic field around us, that we must keep infusing our pranic field and keep growing and strengthening our life force field. It's actually a meditation I do every day. I encourage you to do this work. I'll be teaching it in She Alchemy. You can join us on thegoddessastrologer.com to have the life force, the will to act in your life when there's all these challenges and the ups and downs and highs and lows of the ascension. That's very challenging. And all of the things we go through, because if you're on an awakening journey and you're awake, you go through a lot because you're being provoked to heal the shadow and the old traumas and all the old stuff. And it has to be at the pace that you can handle, but it's not easy. So grief at 75, fear, most people are in fear. So basically, when they were testing in the world, most people were under courage, meaning they didn't have courage, which meant that they didn't have integrity. So this 200 level is the level of integrity. So integrous behavior. So an organization like WebMD, I think he tested WebMD at like 190 or something. So it wasn't even at the level of courage. So it wasn't out for your best interest if it's not at the level of something benevolent up here, where really benevolence, benign, is at the level of love, 500. So really, and it's not that something below here in this range of the green and blue is bad or wrong. This is what Saturn and Pisces is about. Your authority of your intuition. Saturn is authority. So Saturn and Pisces for the next 2 years is saying, are you cultivating your own authority of your intuition, trusting yourself, trusting what's right for you? You know right and wrong for you, and no one else can determine what's right and wrong for you. But people are out there everywhere trying to tell you what's right and wrong, the lines to color between, God this, God that. God has made a big comeback. Religion is to control. If you think about the 3 dominant religions on the planet, and if they weren't there, who would be controlling everybody? They're there to control, to sheep people around, to control people, to keep people afraid, because when you're afraid, you're controllable. And you go towards what makes you feel safe, which is that social belonging in that shadow Libra. And like, do it, latch onto these people, latch into this group. This group feels good. They're all insecure like me too. So let's all hang out together and be insecure together. No, are you evolving? Is that what you want? Are you going to step into your greatest self with people around you that aren't trying to deal with their fear and their insecurity and their doubt? Or do you want to be what are you here for? You know, are you here to be in the matrix? Are you here to step into the most amazing, powerful, amazing, happy life that you've ever wanted and dreamed of? Like, what do you want for your life? You know, do you want to horseback ride and swim with sharks and ride motorcycles and jump out of planes and, you know, have an amazing business that changes the world and makes a wave in this world? Here's the thing. You affect the world. You have a ripple effect in the world, guaranteed 1,000 million %. But you're either doing it intentionally and consciously, or you're doing it unintentionally and unconsciously, and it's still happening. You're still making an effect on the world. So what effect do you want to make on the world? And here's the thing, just being in a state of being in a high vibration, high frequency, dealing with your own turmoil and your issues, and being in love and sharing compassion, but not spiritual bypassing, being in positive thoughts when it's not really what's true, but sharing that, even that alone is so massive in this world, because people are bereft of the Libra love and compassion, and that Taurus at home, that Venus at home in Taurus, talking about love. Venus rules Libra, but Venus isn't in Libra with this full moon. Venus is at home in Taurus. Taurus is love, and it's the divine feminine. It's love. Taurus is love. Taurus is just like, I just want to love. It's so much love. But Venus is the goddess of love unto herself. She doesn't need anybody, Libra, to be the beacon of love, to share love, to share a smile. She's not afraid. She deals with her fear, right? Fearlessness does not mean you're not afraid or vulnerable sometimes. It means that you can face the fear and be autonomous and be understanding your value and take up space in this world. The Saturn and Pisces. So most of the world was below integrity. So if people are below the level of integrity here, what does that mean? They're not integrous when they're in the car next to you. They're not integrous when they're in the line in the store next to you. They're not wanting to be in a state of integrity. And it's a big deal to understand this, because when we understand this, we understand why people are behaving the way they are, because it's their level of consciousness, that they're actually at a level of consciousness that's below courage, below integrity. And so they don't care about anybody else. They really are going to be in pride or in anger or in desire, like that panting tomcat. Like most people's relationships are based on 125, on desire, craving, being disappointed and mad if like somebody doesn't respond to your text right away. Like, what do you mean? That's what texting was, so that you could respond when you have the time. Like, that's what it came to be about. Like, I have people that want me to email immediately, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you kidding? Good luck on that. So it's like desire is this biological connection in relationships that's just based on biology, not on a soul connection. And soul connection is something deeper. It's not the sparks and the flying, and everybody's sold that scintillation of romantic relationships, the rom-coms, women particularly is sold the man coming to save you. And it's like, are you a woman, Venus, unto herself in her own value and in her own power? This full moon about, am I in my own power? How am I doing being Aries autonomous? Sun conjunct Chiron, autonomous, independent? How am I doing with that? Because it means I have to deal with the inner stuff coming up, all the emotions and all the stuff. And there's nothing has went wrong here when we're feeling the things that come up. The moons are happening, the planets are provoking us for it to come up to be healed, because we're in the time of the great healing. We're actually healing. Let me finish this and I'm going to go into that really briefly. Unconditional love is 540. It's called joy on a lot of these graphs. Love is at 500. And this is not romantic love. This is all that is. This is the benevolence. Think of it as benevolence. Remember, consciousness and benevolence are not the same thing. Don't conflate those things. If you can at least be in neutrality or acceptance or willingness, this is so big. It will change your life. And we'll talk about this in She Alchemy. If you can just be in neutrality and willingness and acceptance, if you can just get there. Because here's the thing, you're driving is such a good example for me, at least. I drive so much, but driving is such a good example because people are pulling out and they're doing all these things. And if you can just be like, surprise, we didn't die, yay. And instead of being like, asshole, why don't he figure it out? It's like, people are lost, people are new to the city, people aren't paying attention, people are, in their heads. There's a million reasons why people just aren't driving well, why they won't pull up to the stoplight and they're 2 car lengths behind the stoplight. I don't know, don't really understand this city, but I decided I'm not going to have frustration anymore. I'm just going to have neutrality, because I kind of moved to this new area and people really drive, and I've been in like nearly every state, so I've really got the bead for how people drive in that area. And this is like particularly bad. People are just 2 car lengths from the stoplight. There's sensors in the road that make the lights turn. So I just had to be like, I either had to be frustrated all the time, really low on the map of consciousness, or I had to be like, radical acceptance. I don't fucking want to be frustrated anymore. I don't understand it. I wish somebody would just tell me, like, what are they doing? But you know what? Radical acceptance, I don't even care anymore. This is where I get to practice, see circumstance, fact. People drive however they drive. Nothing I can ever do about it. Nothing. I'm not going to ever change it. So why would I let myself spend any minutes of my life frustrated and upset over it? Why? And make myself miserable? Fuck that. So I'm like, okay, radical acceptance. This is my practice ground for all of the bigger topics of life. This is my area to practice it. Where's your micro areas of life where you can practice being in neutrality at a minimum instead of being upset and angry and all that? Don't push that shit down if it's really coming up. But how can you practice neutrality? Because then you're moving up the map of consciousness towards divine love, towards unconditional love. When you feel unconditional love in your heart, there's so much power there, so much power to create the life that you want. So it's Venus and Taurus at home, having come off that conjunction to Uranus that is guiding this full moon, telling us all about this full moon. And what's funny is that Ceres, the Earth Mother, was hanging out, all about fertility and the fields and agriculture and the fecundity, was in Libra and partnership. So now Earth Mother is in Virgo, about healing the divine feminine and goddess Earth, and healing our connection to Earth. The sun, like I said, conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer, our wound, the wound of never being autonomous, the archaic warrior programming, having dominated us, habituated us to abuse, thinking all that was normal. And so now we're stumbling about in the world, trying to get our autonomy and our sovereignty together, and feeling bereft and lonely and afraid and scared, and dealing with retraining our nervous systems to handle the greater consciousness, the galactic downloads, and this new world that we are in. We are watching humanity and watching evolution at a breaknecking a breakneck pace that is so intense and powerful, but exciting. Like finally something fucking is happening on this earth, you know, like fuck, it's been really boring for most of my life. Now something's finally happening. It's amazing. This Libra full moon, I really encourage you to get your Libra issues together as much as you can, face them as much as you can, because when the nodal axis changes in July, man, it's going to be blowing up. Fuck, what relationship issues are going to be. Whew. So all of your issues, and what are your relationship issues? Not having them, wanting them, longing, desirous, being hopeful. Hope drives you into behaviors that you don't want to do. When you're hoping, you're not the creator anymore of your life, because you're hoping something out there comes to you, happens for you, works out for you. You're no longer creating. You're no longer an agency. You're no longer an active participant in your, prefrontal cortex, running your life, your magic brain, creating the life that you want. You're just hoping, and it drives you into behaviors that will make you do things that you don't want to do in this life, that really suck, that you're going to regret later. So I really encourage you to ditch hope, unless on that map of consciousness, you're at apathy, and then hope's great. But if you're above courage, then ditch the hope, because hope will drive you into behaviors that are not what you really want to do. I promise you. So what did I want to focus on? Lilith, where are you at? Okay, so I just want to cover some things in the chart. With this Venus ruling this full moon, Uranus in the North Node, or what's powerful. So this full moon, I believe, is bringing up the relationship stuff, everything I've talked about, so that we can focus back in on the North Node again when we have this last 4 degrees, because the Scorpio shadow, all of the hidden issues have been bubbling up with the Scorpio South Node there. Sexuality, women being objectified and abused and sexualized, and doing it themselves, having done it to themselves, thinking that their beauty is the beauty that's sold to them by Hollywood or by pornography or by these debaucherous, depraved things, the narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths that want you to basically be like a plastic blow-up doll, and the sacredness taken out of sex, and the disconnection from the invisible realms, or it used for destructive purposes or for black magic or evil purposes, evil as in malicious intent to harm, to abuse, to trick, to manipulate, and all the psychological manipulation, and all the dark underbelly and dark world. And it's been bringing all of our issues with intimacy up, the lack of intimacy with ourselves and other people. Can you hold the gaze of someone who's authentically in their heart space, or do you look away? Can you handle the intimacy? Can you handle deep connection that's loving, but platonic? Can you handle platonic deep intimacy? I had guy friend after guy friend after guy friend that could not handle platonic deep intimacy, and always pulled this Lilith trick, trying to blame me for their lack of their ability to go deep platonically, when I was very clear that I didn't want more, and I was never gonna. Can you have deep, intimate relationships? This grand trine to Mars, Saturn in Pisces, Mars in Cancer, and the South Node in water, this grand water trine, means our emotions can kind of loop in on themselves if you don't have emotional skills, if you don't know how to identify it, and you don't have real techniques that work to release emotions. So I really encourage you to join She Alchemy so that you can learn real techniques that work on how to become emotionally masterful, alchemize the pain, loss, and challenge of your life into your power, your empowerment, like being a powerful woman, being powerful with money, powerful with your presence, powerful with your energy and your time and your focus, not letting anybody that is not going to treat you right be in your life or have 1 minute of your time, all because of social belonging, because you just want to feel special, want to feel loved, want to fit in, want to feel safe. That's the shit that's driving most of humanity. So where is your emotional seascape at? because this grand trine is really provoking this deep inquiry about this. This Mars is out of bounds, so there's still aggressive aggro energy based upon wherever the moon's at every 2.5 days, because the moon is ruling this Mars in Cancer until late May. And so, Libra Mars is kind of, can be, in the head too much. And this Mars is really kind of motivated towards a sense of safety, a sense of security or comfort. But what is the definition of that? Because your big wild dreams takes you being uncomfortable, doing things you haven't done before, doing things that are not familiar. So if you're going to do your big wild dreams, you have to do things that don't feel safe and comfortable. So can you rewrite your definition of safe? The safe is actually me within myself able to handle anything, because I have those tools and skills. I have that skill set. I've mastered this journey. It doesn't mean that I'm not sad or on my knees sometimes or upset or things don't happen, but I just am more and more and more and more capable of handling it. The perspectives of which I look at it help me to be in a really masterful state of empowerment. I narrate it in such a way that it's not dastardly, but it's a part of my journey. And there's something massively beautiful that I'm meant to gain from this, alchemizing the difficult things into stuff for you, gifts of yours, your wisdom, your power. And we have the Sun-Jupiter conjunction coming up on the 10th and 11th, and this is powerful, and it's Aries. So it's just this believing, this unicorn energy of just believing in the best possible outcomes and possibilities and going into it. Because when you get trip ups, of course you will, there's always obstacles, but you keep going through the obstacles, you keep going around it. When you're like going on a trip, like you don't just like, you don't have gas, you go stop and get gas. There's obstacles, like I need food, I need gas, that we find a place to stay, like there's something in the road, we got to take a different route. Like there's always the adventure, because the movie would be pretty boring otherwise, right? So remember that aspect to it, because it's really powerful. Mercury and Taurus wants to talk about the things that matter, and the perspective is more on our values and on money. And with, the Taurus Scorpio nodal axis, we're focused on money. And the world economic system is changing, and circular economics and microeconomies and people sharing resources and understanding the value of each other. Libra, the conscious, positive Libra. So powerful. I'm going to get into the sun sign horoscopes here in a minute. Let me just cover a couple of last things here. Just give me a second. And one of the things I was wanting to talk about, because there is this Grand Cross in the chart that's been here for a while, off and on, the nodes to Pluto and Lilith, because Lilith's been going back and forth over this area of Virgo and Leo, and it's that healing self-mastery of Virgo, and the heart and the vulnerability and the creative expression and the lights of Leo, the willingness to be in your heart, but it takes vulnerability, but a vulnerability that's not weak, a vulnerability that's strong, certain. That Leo is self-possessed and certain. It just has a presence, a stage presence, right? It's not trying to do it. It's a natural it's a natural element to the Leo, right? And so this Pluto in Aquarius until June is bringing in previews. It's going to go back and forth from Aquarius to Capricorn, Aquarius to Capricorn. And so it's kind of like a birth canal. It's kind of like a dreaming waking cycle. It's like this cycle of like clearing out and flushing out the rest of Capricorn, but intensifying and opening up into the Aquarius. So it's like provoking the collective and intensifying Aquarius themes. And the cosmic consciousness, the higher consciousness, the more galactic cosmic overview. Aquarius is visionary. It's the big overview of everything. Remember, all the air signs look at things very differently and think very differently. And so Aquarius is this big visionary overview sign. It's the genius. And it's the rebel because it understands that social belonging isn't the way to things, because Aquarius is a social sign and so is Libra a social sign. So Aquarius, it's not about social belonging. Aquarius is like, no, like the Libra balances out that Aquarius, like, well, we need to come together and organize and be loving or what's the point? But Aquarius has that overcomes that social belonging aspect as the motivation, saying that let's connect on vibration and frequency and where we really fit and belong, and how it makes sense to be individuals, unity through diversity. The duality of that in the universe through unity, not separation. Because here's the thing, is that we got tricked into separation because when Saturn was in Sag in 1869 to 1870, the Council of Constantinople put out the 11th canon that said no more spirit unless it's in a metaphorical form. So it separated the trinity of spirit, matter, and soul. And that's where we got a lot of duality, vertical duality, heaven and hell, and that mythology, and then the inner and outer duality of being separate from our world. Then like people polluted our own habitat and our own world, and all this destruction and abuse of our own place to live. It's like you wouldn't go shit in your house all over your house because you don't really want to live there after that. But that's what we're doing to the earth, right? And it feels like it's so big you can't make a difference, but you can make a difference. Someone threw like a receipt on the ground the other day. I'm like, what are you doing? I picked it up and threw it in the trash. Just the littlest, simplest things, and being an example. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? And I threw it in the trash. Like, I didn't tell him what to do, but I was like, what are you doing? Like, and I threw it in the trash to like show this is how easy it is, and it's not that the trash system and the waste system doesn't need overhauled, and there's so many things, but what can you do? Can you do that? And it really matters. The ripple effect, like believe that you have a ripple effect upon the world, because we are energy, we are frequency. You matter. That's the Leo, Lilith and Leo. You matter. And we've had this grand cross in the chart over and over and over again. It's a big deal. The nodes and Pluto about regeneration, transformation, something birthing, something changing, something dying away that is not allowing us to evolve as humanity anymore. And Lilith, the feminine, coming back, the feminine that is within humanity, all people, regardless of biological sex, and so the feminine quality, but also our empowerment, because Lilith is about your empowerment, meaning that Lilith went and spent time alone and was alone and was demonized because she wouldn't be subservient. She said, no, I'm not going to be subservient. I've offered you equal partnership. You don't want that. So I'm going to go off, and I don't care if I'm alone. I don't care if you demonize me, because it's not my power. My personal power is not worth your abuse. And I'm not subservient to anyone else. So looking at this grand cross, it's been in the chart off and on for a really long time. It's so important. It's this important. The universe is speaking so loudly to us. There's so much here. And this septile from Neptune to Venus, Neptune being the higher octave of Venus, and a septile being an otherworldly metaphysical aspect, talking about the downloads coming in about our spiritual provocation, Neptune, about the collective consciousness and spiritual heartbeat of all of humanity, and where the cosmos are provoking us to Pisces, soul, intuition, healing, intuition, soul, intuition, healing, soul. We're just being told that on and on. Autonomy, Aries, autonomy. And Taurus, love, partnership model of society, partnership. And so stepping into your power in the heart. And Mars, taking action based on intuition, Cancer, the moon is actually about instinct and intuition. And Mars, Aries, at the heart of it is instinctual. It's actually instinctual, not thinking, not in the ego. And the sun is exalted in Aries. We have an exalted, strong, beautiful sun that's like, yay, time to like begin and be happy and be bright in the sun and the warmth and the flowers and the trees and all of the spring, this bursting of life force, the will to take action and to do. And Arachne, goddess spider, grandmother, goddess spider, goddess grandmother spider, is conjunct the sun, saying the web, build the web of what you want to create into this world. You can weave the web of the life that you want to create. You know, Arachne, like if you look at Charlotte's Web, she got shit out of the trash. The words that she got for Wilbur were out of the trash. Some pig, terrific. They were all pieces of trash that she made into something brilliant and beautiful. And that is the resourcefulness of Taurus, this Venus ruling the South Node, to know your resourcefulness, to know the value within you, that you make something valuable. And she made something beautiful and something new, completely a new creation out of the old, out of the dust. So it's not that the old is gone. It's not that the phoenix is rising from the ashes. It's that the butterfly's wings are actually the walls of the cocoon itself, and that there's imaginal cells in there. That is the imagination, the creation being created, that's created into the wings of the butterfly, that it's actually that it's we create the new out of the old. This Arachne conjunct the sun, that we take the trash and we create the new into something completely magical and beautiful, because nothing ever dies. The law of conservation of energy and matter, that nothing ever dies or is created, that it's only just regenerated. Pluto is teaching us that going back into Capricorn, that we must regenerate the old into the new. Aquarius is the new and Capricorn's the old. And so we must regenerate Pluto and retrieve our power from the old and regenerate it into the new, into something beautiful and something innovative and ingenious. Aquarius. Let's go into the sun sign horoscopes and see where this is happening for you in your chart. Here's the thing about your sun signs. Look at your rising signs, because that's where it's hitting you in your natal chart. Like I was giving you a natal birth chart reading. And also look at your sun sign as the solar chart. Those combined together give you this great idea about what this full moon is really provoking you and catalyzing you in your world right now, like the areas of life that you're really going to see massive like change and provocation and wanting to shift and heal and move, evolve, grow. So if you like this video, if you even get one little thread out of it, if you could please like it, I really appreciate that. That also just is our beautiful connection and sharing energy and being in this community, this light goddess community together. If you're a light goddess, meaning that you are an advanced spiritual woman, meaning that you are a woman who's a visionary entrepreneur, meaning that you are a woman who is here to bring more love into this world, come hell or high water, no matter what happens, and to live this audacious, wild life. If you are an audacious woman in this world, a change maker, a light bringer, please like this video. And if you want to leave a comment and let me know any insights that were coming up for you, or if you're looking to see daily astrology forecasts, because I'm most likely going to be doing that in Alchemy very soon. There'll be probably like 10-15 minute short daily videos on what's happening in mundane astrology in the world and in our day, and how you can kind of use the energies to your benefit. And I did that on my YouTube channel all last year for about 6-month period, all for free. But I want to make sure that it's the right space to do it in. So I think that's going to be where I do it. If you would like to get those daily forecasts, you can do there. You can definitely follow me on TikTok at the Goddess Astrologer and get some daily astrology there, plus soul coaching. There's so much goodness there for you. And there's a lot of great videos that will help you be uplifted when you're not feeling good, that'll help remind you of your own power and the things you know. And it'll just be that nice support in your life. You can follow me there. And also, if you know anyone that would benefit and want to see their sun sign horoscopes, shoot them a text, share this video. It's really great to give people a place to find amazing astrology. All right, let's go into the sun sign horoscopes, everyone. And if you'd like to join all of us who are going to be rising together in soul aligned female community together, you can join Alchemy. That is over at thegoddessastrologer.com. And if you would like to book an astrology reading with me personally, I have this 33% off for a very limited time. It's been going for a week and a half already, and it'll be ending by the end of this week. So if you've been wanting to get your natal chart read and your transits and figure out what the energies are doing to you and how Pluto and Saturn changing is affecting you and what the hell is going on, this is the time to do it, because these prices will never be this low again. I usually never, ever go this low. And so it's 33% off. My readings are $297. So that means that readings, you can get a reading for $207. I've like really never been that low before. So I would capitalize on this. And you can book that right away over at thegoddessastrologer.com. All right, y'all, let's go into the sun signs. All right. I'll be pulling some cards. Let's do this. Aries, this is a full moon happening in your 7th house. So it's a time of celebration. It's a time of celebration. It's a time of endings and the festivities of what you've accomplished. It's been a long journey, and now there's been some accomplishments, and there's things that have come to an end, time for them to go. So there might be some completion, sadness, energy, grief might be coming up. And the sun with Arachne, goddess, grandmother spider in your 1st house, is saying weave the new identity of the I am of you. Who do you want to be? What needs to change? What old ego identities are you ready to let go of? What versions of yourself just aren't serving you anymore and aren't getting you your dreams? What doesn't feel authentic to you anymore? What are you releasing and letting go of? Venus in your 2nd house is really just wanting you to focus on the abundance. And let me just change some things here. Give me a quick second. Okay, much better. Okay, I forgot. I don't think I shared this. I'm gonna share this. Yay, I remembered. Good. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I didn't share this. So Aries, full moon, 7th house, and Sun, Chiron, and Arachne in your first house of identity and of your I am, and shedding off the old stuff. Lilith in your 5th house, claiming your next level of empowerment and bringing your heart when it comes to your expression of your creativity, your love into this world, what you create, what matters, what is your I matter, I belong, and what are your gifts that you're bringing to the world? Because this is what this grand cross is for you, that Pluto is asking you for you to reclaim your power with other people and groups and stand in your power. And Lilith is saying that, like, are you bringing your gifts? And is really provoking you right now. And so there's probably a lot of pressure, and you'll feel that, like, the wounds with the North Node, like, are you facing it? There is this pressure with this Grand Cross. Like, money means looking at the wounds and going into that, Aries. And so how can you shed what is just no longer authentic to you anymore? And Saturn is wanting you to connect with your deep creativity and is provoking you. Saturn in the 12th, it's a big provocation to its endings, its completions. It's going into all of the past life karmas and traumas to heal and to shed and to be stripped away. And Saturn, strips us away of everything that's just not a part of who we are. The reason why Saturn does this is because otherwise we wouldn't do the work. We wouldn't do the work of it. So the more you can do the work on purpose, the less Saturn strips you away of shit, or the less bothersome it is. But often we don't even know what it is until it is stripped away. So it's a, Saturn's a funky dealio, but it is the whole, like, being incarnated piece of it. So the card that wanted to come up for you, Aries, is light in the unexpected, that you're not seeing the bright spot, the bright side of things. It's just wanting to remind you to look at the bright side, to remember that, the difficulty is about what needs to change, or what needs healed, or what your soul is trying to tell you, or something that you're here to learn for your, the work that you're here to do in the world. There's a reason for it. There's something to it. You also got the sacred flow of yes. So are you listening to your inner flow of what's right for you and what's not right for you? What's right for you and what's not right for you? Or are you listening to somebody else's where they want you to go, and then where they want you to go next, and where they want you to go next? Shift the way to new potential, meaning that you control your shift. Like, use your prefrontal cortex to create on purpose, consciously, intentionally. What are you creating? What are the thoughts in your brain? Are they serving you? Are they uplifting you? Because if you're not questioning your mind, then guaranteed your primitive brain is running your life. Your wounds are running your life. Your fears and doubts are running your life. Your insecurities are running your life. If you are not questioning your brain every day, we clean up our kitchen counter more often than we clean out our mind, most people. So I encourage you to do that. All right, Aries. Taurus. So Taurus, this full moon for you is in your 6th house. Where is their self-mastery? Where is their self-mastery? Where is the wounding, hurting, and there needs to be this Arachne, a new creation, and a recognition of the mastery that you have. in relationships, a recognition of who you really are, your resourcefulness, the beauty of you, your value. Because Taurus, Venus and Taurus and Uranus is in your first house. So it's like that individuality and recognizing your value, your resourcefulness, that you are amazing, valuing yourself, having that deep self-worth, which means that there's this self-mastery with this full moon, that it can highlight how much you've grown, what you've been through, where you've come through. But it doesn't mean that there's not some hurts that are this full moon's bringing up, and where you can create something different now. It's showing you what were the common threads of wounds that came up over and over with people, problems, and issues. And now Arachne is here to say something new can be created, and create something new out of that trash. Like everything that happens to me, I create something with it. Like I don't let anything challenging happen to me without using it, like Charlotte used the trash words in her web to bolster Wilbur and encourage him. This grand cross is Pluto in your 10th, this reclamation of power with the people, power of your individuality and your unique self, taking up space in the world so powerfully. And then Lilith, this reclamation of your independence and freedom, no matter what, with family, with what maybe once gave you a sense of security, to not, that you weren't shining your light, thinking that was your sense of security. Like where was your definition of security keeping you from standing in your sovereignty, owning your power, and being in your greatest level of empowerment? Are you in your greatest level of empowerment? It's something important to ask, because the North Node is in your first house of destiny, of your I am for Taurus. And so with the South Node and the 7th, it's really this clearing out, completions, and a festival, of celebration of the new, of what's coming, of the amazing new life, because of all the work you've done. So let's pull cards for you, Taurus. Two cards came out: Creator Earth and protection, and a self-care message. So are you grounded? Ground can be off in the dimensions, can be in the visible worlds. And so really it's asking you to ground. What grounds you? Is it, root vegetables and some big vegetables? Is it trees? Is it walking in the woods, animals, connection, breath, meditation? I encourage everyone to get a meditation practice now before 2026. Change maker, make waves. So it's saying that you're absolutely making waves. Be your authentic self, be the change maker, realize that you're the one. The ones you looked to years ago, you are the one. You're being looked to now. You're the leader. You're on the cutting edge. You're the awakened one. You're the one on the leading edge that's going ahead of humanity to help guide humanity up the mountain. And so being the one, like how are you handling that? Fill your cup up with sacred giggles, meaning let loose, don't be so serious, laugh more, put on funny movies, find what makes you laugh at all costs, because you have to trust your joy to lead you to the right place. Trust your joy to know what's really important, because the seriousness gets us all stuck in really stagnant places that don't move us. And pull one more card for you, Taurus. Welcome the divine masculine. So what's the divine masculine versus the toxic masculine? And what is that for you? And how does that flow? And what's that? And that could be within a person, that can be within yourself, that can be the energies in the world. So welcome, believe in the divine masculine, believe in the archaic warrior programming being transmuted into that new, beautiful divine masculine energy. And it's everywhere. I'm just seeing so many divine masculine men, and it's really powerful to be around them. I'm seeing so many more people mastering their Mars energy in a beautiful way. So it's so powerful. All right, Gemini. Full moon for you. 5th house, creative self-expression. So beautiful. It's illuminating this because you're taking the power that you have with groups and speaking, communication, and sharing wild ideas and provoking people's thinking into new places and creating magic, weaving a web within groups and your audience and provoking new ways of thinking. And this Libra full moon is illuminating where there's issues with creative self-expression and love, romance, children issues, like where there's relationship issues in these areas, partnering issues, injustices of where you're having challenges. And Arachne is asking you to create something new, to use the challenges that alchemize that into something that you use in your social media, that you teach with, that you inspire people with in your work. Pluto is bringing back this sense of power and creativity and enlightenment in your ability to stand in your expertise as the one who knows, the one who's being looked to, the one that's teaching and leading. And Lilith is offering you this reclamation of power within your perspectives on life, the lens that you put on, that you see through, and in your powerful communications of empowering messages that uplift others, bringing your heart. There might be a lot of provocation coming up around like daily routines and your lifestyle. And so there's definitely a highlight on this. Venus in your 12th house is imploring you to get deeper into creativity, but also into realizing that there's shadow and things that need to come up, and that's okay. And it's just the next layer. It's a lifestyle. This is what we're doing. We're evolving. Always provoked. All right, Gemini, what cards want to come forward for you? So you are magic in a self-care message, asking if you're connecting to your uniqueness, what makes you amazing, what sets you apart, what helps you to feel connected to the all that is, to behind the veils, to the mystical, to the magical, to the things that inspire you and spark you and enliven you. And whatever you need to be fully resourced, it's asking you to get fully resourced so you feel magical again, so you feel connected to that, the now, and saying you're not in the present moment, you're thinking too much, distracted. Gemini energy can be very distracted all over the place. And so you got to ground it in the presence through breath work. I just did a video on this YouTube channel called End Overwhelm, and there's a very short breath work in there that you can do anywhere. It is powerful. It engages the parasympathetic nervous system that calms you down and grounds you into the present moment. You can stomp your feet, do things to regulate your nervous system. Notice when it's dysregulated, and do you have ways that you regulate your nervous system? Because we are really upgrading our nervous systems to handle more consciousness. So collaboration of souls, that 11th house, the sun is just shining bright in Aries in that 11th house. And that's where you're going to have a Jupiter Sun conjunction. That's going to be amazing for your audience building, for connections, collaborations, business. It's going to be amazing. All right, Gemini. All right, let's get into next sign. We did Gemini. And Gemini, the other thing So like there's a picture of me, and when I've moved it before, it's moved, and then other times I move it and it's not moved. So I haven't really played around to figure out what the fuck the thing is and whatever. Anyways, excuse me. So Gemini, the other thing is, you know, where are you feeling bereft, like you don't fit and don't belong? You might feel with that creative, with the full moon in your house of creativity and like I matter. You might feel like you're not mattering lately, and all your issues around that are coming up, but to be healed, to be looked at, to be seen. So realize that that's what that is. Taurus, if Taurus and Aries are still listening, you know, it's where you feel like it's just not working in your schedule and your routines with healing, with people who are healers, with your life force energy, your lifestyle. People aren't working with your lifestyle. They don't fit. People don't understand what you need, or aren't fitting in, or they're not organized, or they don't have their shit together, and you don't want that. You know, it's like with Aries, you know, this is in relating of all kinds of a sense of injustice really happening underneath the scenes. So, all right, let's move on to Cancer. So Cancer, this full moon is really highlighting this feeling of being bereft when it comes to your family. Really emotional issues really coming up strong, but coming up for your soul to talk loudly to you, because emotions are the bridge between the personality and the soul, saying your soul is like, hey, you're not witnessing me, you're not seeing me, you're not hearing you yourself or your inner child. Inner child work, I don't do it like anybody else does it. It always felt yucky to me. I don't know. I could never do it. I had to figure out my own method through my guides and my higher self, and downloading this different method that is really beautiful, simple, and easy, and it works. And it's really just developing this relationship with your inner child of being what you didn't get, and being it to her now. And it's very simple and easy to do. And it's not all this in-depth, you know, complexity of the Scorpio and all of that. It's not necessary. And so there could be, you know, this sense of loss in the family, death, things going down, feeling like people are scattering or going in different places, or the sense that you don't have family. And so maybe it's creating chosen family, or a lot of things shifting, or maybe it's just that you're not like anyone in your family anymore, and you really don't relate to them anymore or feel comfortable there. Arachne and the sun and Jupiter all in your 10th, they're saying that your sacred calling is so important, and that this is really setting you up for really weaving into the quantum field, the into the reality, your vision, taking up space in this world, what is what is, you know, and what is the extension of your fierce, independent, courageous, beautiful self. So that is what is coming up really big for you. And so this grand cross of Pluto in your 8th is wanting you to claim your power with the mystical and magic and behind the scenes, understanding like life from a spiritual perspective, not from the matrix perspective, not from, you know, a program mechanistic perspective, but from a living universe perspective, a spiritual perspective, that everything is consciousness and everything is alive. And to reclaim your power, that there's so much help in the invisible realms. It's not just in the tangible 5 sense reality. And Lilith is saying that there's a reclamation of power for you and abundance, and to end that scarcity mentality. And what do you have to do to claim that? How do you get back into your heart and your positive belief there? It may be isolating. It may be standing in your power, may be very solitary at times. It's not a forever thing. And Venus being the ruler of this full moon in your 11th, really highlighting how this full moon is deeply connected to your audience building in your business, and to groups and organizations, collaborations, connections, working with other people in all different forms and ways, and friendships and groups and that sort of area of life. We realize that the nodes are speaking loudly with this full moon, asking you to heal what is standing in the way, blocking you from owning the gifts that you bring to the world, bringing them to the world, and thinking that you matter, believing you matter, acting and behaving in a way that says, this is my belief, this is who I am, this is my belief in the world that's true, that I matter, and what I have to offer in this world is important and matters. So what are the blocks, the wounds that are blocking that? And the North Node really asking you to remember your value when you're amongst groups and other people and in your audience and on your social media. Stand in your value, claim your self-worth, do the work to eradicate any blocks to that. Let's get you some cards pulled, Cancer. This card wanted to come up for you. Creator Water. So creator water is about the emotions, and while Cancer, often it's like, oh, I have so many emotions, but Cancer's so nonverbal. It's nonverbal. So it's like, can you actually identify the emotion and name it and identify it? Do you have real techniques to release emotions? Do you have agency with emotions and fluidity, or are they stymieing you and puppeting you around, stopping you in life, driving you into escapism or into places in your life that are holding you back from your audacious life, from being the audacious woman that you are? Accept and receive. And it's in a protection message saying that there's some sort of block. And I was talking about that block in the South Node in your 5th house, that to receive is to be in your heart, to be vulnerable, but not vulnerable as in like the deer being chased by the lion, but vulnerable as in the strength, a strong vulnerability, the vulnerable that is in its power and its strength is strong. And so what do you need to clear out that's in the way? I mean, are you getting energetic help? I recommend to anybody who's on this awakening journey to get Reiki from somebody who's really doing deep Reiki every single week. I'm really serious. We need the energetic support and help. And it's a world that you need to be immersed in, understand, because it's the real world. It's the world that animates the tangible reality world. So don't be spelled into which one's the real one. This one doesn't exist without that one. This one doesn't even matter. So we have to come back to the truth, the now, the present moment, that it's always the wild present moment, the wild present tense that matters. And so when your emotions are getting you feared out, how do you get grounded back into the wild present tense? There's vagus nerve reset that is very powerful to ground you and regulate your nervous system. And I am teaching these tools in She Alchemy. So I encourage you to join us there. Pull you another card, Cancer. What card wants to come out? The spark of creativity. It's in a self-protection message. So it's like your hustle and grind energy instead of being in the creativity and the flow. Really understand the difference between the two. All right, Cancer, hope that helps you. Leo, so Leo, this full moon in your 3rd, all about your perspective and your mindset. And what are the lenses that you're seeing this world through? Are they serving you and uplifting you? Or are they keeping you playing small and being safe? You know, we're supposed to take caution through learnedness, take caution, which is Capricorn, take caution through intuition, which is Cancer. We're not meant to be cautious for caution's sake to be boring. So like, where are you at with that, Leo? Where is the, wanting someone to come and attend to you? Where are you attending to yourself? Because this is going to bring up all the areas that you feel bereft of nobody noticing your brilliant mind, your communication, wanting to communicate, getting enough connection and communication where people aren't noticing your posts or your social media, or the things that you're making and creating out in the world. So it's going to bring up all the issues with that, only for release and healing and so forth. And the Sun and Arachne, Erisina here, Chiron is all asking and saying that with this ninth house, that there's so much standing in your expertise and owning your expertise in this world. And yet it is through going through healing and releasing what are the issues coming up around the intellectual property that you make, standing in your power of the feminine, the goddess is third house, and really realizing the power that you have locally to get clients, meet people, network, to be an influence in the local area, and whatever issues are coming up around that to be resolved. Lilith is wanting you to reclaim your power and your I am. So where in the who you are-ness are you ready for the next upgrade of identity, the next shedding of the things that really aren't who you are now? That there's been quite a bit of evolution here, because Pluto's in your 7th house. So there's been some massive clean out and some massive purging and completion, and there's really the celebration of this ingenuity and this genius coming forward, the cosmic downloads and all of the beautiful energy that you're bringing, because the nodes are in your 10th house, and Venus is ruling this full moon in your 10th house, saying, you know, the ingenious power to stand and take up space, and the ideas and the cosmic consciousness, channeling it all through for your beautiful content and your business, to bring divine light and love through, to uplift the collective, to be in that powerful light. And it means dealing with your wounds at home, in the family, in your emotions. Are you handling your emotions? Soul on fire. So soul on fire, are you ignited in the heart, Leo, and rather than in that unhealthy pride and in that ego and in that wounded heart? Magic happens when you most expect it, but it's in a self-care message, saying that negative expectations, negative beliefs, not cleaning out your subconscious. Do you know how to reprogram your subconscious to create the life that you want to create? Because our subconscious creates our reality. So do you know how to clean out the subconscious programming that's keeping you stuck, blocked, limited, and playing small? You're not meant to play small. Stop, drop, and ground. So important in this time. You can't meditate enough, and really ground that meditation practice right now, Leo. And what are your ways to regulate your nervous system, to ground into the reality in the moment? All right. Virgo, this full moon for you can really be bringing up issues around money, issues around feeling valued by other people, where your value is not being honored in relationship, where you haven't stood up for your value in relationships. And then so it's being shown because people are not acting as if, and where self-worth issues are really becoming obvious. This has been going on for the last week and a half. These issues have been made clear to you. You are aware of it at this time, and you've had a lot of opportunity to shift it and change it. And this sun here with Chiron and Arachne and Eris and Jupiter, all in your 8th house, saying, like, really understanding that how the spirit is what runs this world. It is not run on the tangible. It is not the world of the 5 senses. It's actually a spiritual world, really connecting to that being the truth of all that is, that's what matters so much more than the tangible little details of everything. That being a Virgo, having the ability to be detail oriented and to make things happen is a beautiful quality, but it can be exhausting if it's not infused with the truth of spirit and your ability to be in your magic and weave it all into the reality. You're weaving the invisible into the visible, and you have that dedication and self-mastery of that Virgo energy to use, but using it right and not getting caught up in the perfectionism. And Venus is, North Node is in the 9th house of really owning your expertise, believing in that, standing in your value there, because the South Node in your 3rd is saying, you got to do mind management work. Like, are you questioning your brains and all the thoughts in your brain? Are you believing all the thoughts in your brain as if they're truth and facts? Or are you really understanding the difference between facts, using that prefrontal cortex to question your mind and what those thoughts are creating in your life? Because our thoughts create our results. So are they creating, is it creating what you want to create in your life? And Pluto saying there's a chance to reclaim your power and have that ingenuity with your schedule, with your routines, with your day-to-day work and your happiness in that schedule and routine, healing health issues, and really around your lifestyle. Like, are you living the life that you want to live? Are you being the wild rebel with your lifestyle and creating your lifestyle? When I moved to California, my cousin, like, first of all, I guess he thought I'd been nowhere before. But also, I mean, we weren't super close, but, you know, so I think he just thought I like had no life experience and never been out of the Midwest or something like that, and like didn't really understand. But he was like, you, like, if you're gonna move out here, you gotta like decide what kind of lifestyle you want to live. And at the time, like, you know, I really just hadn't ever really thought of that perspective, put that lens on, you know. And I just kept like, what does that mean even? I was like, I don't even understand what it means. And I was like, oh, like, I really got it. That's like, I can spend every minute of my life doing something I love. And being in California, I'm in a place where there's the things that I love. There's surfing and all of these opportunities to do wild and adventurous things that aren't really in other places, where Nebraska or places like that, where there isn't the opportunity for those things. You're going to have to leave the state to do them. Whereas living there, I was in the city where it's located. So I really understood, I came to understand what he was talking about. And so this Pluto is saying, like, reclaim your power with choosing the life and the lifestyle that you actually really want, and that makes you happy, that you get to create that. You don't have to live the matrix programming. You don't have to live what somebody else said life was. You don't have to do the fam damly. If you got kids, you can put them in a backpack and climb up the mountain, or go skydiving, or go live the wild, crazy, audacious, wild life that you really want, and stop trying to put yourself in color in between lines and check the boxes. And for what? Like, are you on an assembly line? Are you in an ant farm? Or are you your own individual, beautiful person? And this Lilith here is saying, reclaim your power no matter the cost, which means like face the past life traumas and wounds so that you're not looking through the lens of them in everything you do in life. And really powerful opportunities for you here, like really powerful. That healing this stuff, healing your perspective, allows you to stand in your expertise. But without that, you know, this is a grand cross. So there's all these instruments playing different, there's all these, you know, people playing different instruments in the same room with this grand cross. And so it's like, you can't do one thing without doing the other. You can't get it into a harmony without actually doing all the pieces, Virgo. So, all right, let's pull some cards for you. Changes in a self-care message, saying that don't be afraid of them. Don't narrate them as something's gone wrong, something's bad. Like are changes good in your mind, or are changes bad to you? Because if you're looking at them as if they're scary or bad, or they're destabilizing, then you're unwilling to do the very thing that creates the life you really dream of, which is changing, which is doing something different than you've been doing, because you can't do the same thing to create a different life than you've been creating. What you're doing right now is creating the life you have. So to create the life you really want, or the different new dream or goal, you have to do something different. And so changes, can you really narrate them as something powerful, the adventure, growth, evolution, and also, you know, to do these changes, what do you need to be fully resourced as a woman? Are you getting novelty, play, orgasm, pleasure, connection, stimulation, intellectual and otherwise? So you got choose who you are becoming. So there's this real big theme here for you, Virgo. It's like realizing that, really like looking at the wounds and like healing the mind, the mindset that you're running on, the way you narrate life, the questioning your brain, and questioning your brain. It's a lifestyle, because our brains will always run on default. So we have to recreate a new default every time we want to level up. And we have to like heal the old defaults that are built on the first 7 years that we got programmed by everybody around us and all their programming, by our past lives, by the wounds and challenges and the traumas and the shit we've been through in this life. And all of that is your PhD for the wisdom you're meant to carry forward in this life. We used to respect that with our elders. So choose who you're becoming consciously, because believe it or not, you're becoming somebody, but are you becoming that new version? Is it just the same regurgitated version of your old self? Are you becoming this new version of you consciously and intentionally on purpose? And you got step ahead is all you need. So stop being in that perfectionism, realizing it's a perfecting. Don't fear yourself out with the future focus so crazy, and really just one step at a time. Creator air, meditate, manage your brain, really look at what your mind's doing, questioning it. It is a self-care message, meaning daily cleaning out the brain. What is the brain doing? Is it serving you? Is it helping you? All right, Virgo. All right, Libra, this full moon for you, first house, Libra, all about your identity, all about your I am. Standing in your power. This is so powerful. Pluto is in your 5th house, like all talking about reclaiming your power, reclamation of your power in your house of creative self-expression. I matter. What I'm bringing to the world matters. Like realizing that. And so this has brought up all your issues about who you are, standing in your power, having a clear identity that's not meshed with other people, because you are a Libra, and that Libra, depending on if you have other Libra placements, can really have a meshed identity, be codependent, looking to other people to understand who they are, rather than having a full Aries, who you are-ness identity that's autonomous and differentiated from other people, and really then being in interdependent and healthy relationships relating. And so all right, Libra, getting back to you. So this full moon is really about your identity and shedding any false versions of yourself that just don't serve you anymore, that are full of these ideas that just aren't the truth. The South Node is asking you to shed wounds and issues related to abundance mentality. So really check out what your mind is doing, Libra air, around money and do you feel impoverished? Are you in scarcity? Do you believe you can create the money that you want to create in this life? Like, do you believe that you can be a woman that creates $1 million a year? Like, seriously, do you believe that you can create 100K? Like, what is the issue there? What's the disconnection? What's going on there? Because you have Venus in your 8th house of understanding this spiritual nature to life, instead of Libra convention, tradition, the status quo. Didn't realize like the shadow Libra is really like conventional. It's optics. It's like really concerned about what other people say is the thing to be concerned about. Optics, how things look, appearances, aesthetics. And so it's like, it's conventional. It's the matrix. So like where, like, how can you get out of that way of viewing life? And Venus in the North Node are saying, can you view it from the spiritual perspective, that that's what's animating the all of life? Like, what is it that you're trying to grasp upon to pull it into reality? And the Sun Jupiter conjunction that's coming for you on the 10th and 11th is really beautiful here in your 7th house, of a rebirth of how you relate as an autonomous you in relationships. Like, where's the injustice that's been going on? there's something really beautiful here that you can launch, and that can be in your business, with the relationships in your business, with your audience, and with people out in the world, with your image, and with the full moon in the first house, the identity that you want to birth into the world and you want to put forward is like who you are. And it's not sad, it's not static. Remember, it's not static, it's not a one and done and end all. It's just this next big bloom, this next big spring of who you are birthing into the world. And this is, the celebration is happening, the celebration of this launch of the spring of your life right now, of this, the projects, the big manifestations. This is the spring blooming of it, of really what you put forth here really matters. So thinking about that, it's really beautiful. And you can really create and weave the beautiful relationships that you want. You really have a lot of magic and power here right now. So really claim the ingenuity you have and your genius that you bring forward, your gifts that you bring forward, really connecting to how much they matter in the world, how much they change things, how much they're needed, how bereft the world is of that. There is this sadness around who you are, what you're letting go of, old identities that you're dying to, new identities you haven't yet connected and pulled in and anchored. There is some sadnesses or some issues around that, or some things that have been coming up around that lately. And Lilith is asking you to claim your empowerment around groups and people, and stand in your power and let the chips fall where they may. Like, what happens if you don't people please anymore? What happens if you are compassionate to you first, if you're a I am before you're a we? Something really important to look at. Pulling cards for you, Libra. Creator fire, action. Intuition, action, intuition, action, not thinking, Libra, in the middle. And here's the thing, it's so fun because you're like, you get it and you do it, and you get it and you do it. And there's not all of this mess in between. It actually gets to be really fun. This is something that is a part of my journey and of like untangling, and it gets to be super fun. The sacred mirror, that like, what is the sacred mirror that's mirroring back the shadow to you right now? And like, how, like, where are you not wanting to listen, or it feels like too much, or it feels like cognitive dissonance, or having to step into this whole new identity you're not quite prepared for, because that's kind of what's going on. Celebrating your wins, honoring the amazingness of you, and giving your brain easy wins, like not expecting yourself to change in the big things. They're just, you're not, it's not going to happen. Like, try to give your brain the micro wins. How can you give yourself the micro wins? So Libra, there's just so much goodness afoot in this full moon for you. It's really big. Scorpio, full moon in your 12th house. It's really highlighting what needs to change, what needs to shift, the old traumas. It's bringing up everything that's related to like past lives and traumas and issues that need to be healed. It's bringing up all of the areas where you're not creative, where you don't feel connected, where there's meaninglessness in your life. Looking to that meaninglessness is helping you to find the meaning, because it's like, I can't stand this, so where is the meaning of my life? And the sun and Jupiter and Arachne in this house of your lifestyle and the grounded reality in your day-to-day schedule, and what do you want to live day to day? Where's your self-mastery? Like, do you have self-mastery in life as art, and life being an adventure and an art? Take your paintbrush out and to paint this life. And there's a lot of sadness coming up around maybe having not done that so far, and an opportunity to do that, because you can reclaim your power in your business right now with Lilith here, to stand in your power, let the chips fall where they may. It might mean you're isolated for a while. Reclaim the ingenuity of yourself and your individual unique self within your family, the ingenious of your emotions to guide you and lead you in this life, listening to your intuition and that nodal axis, like asking you to heal the wounds of your identity, your I am, like, where Do you feel wounded there and hurts and have defenses and triggers? Because that's where you know where to do the work. And with this North Node and Venus ruling in your 7th house, saying that there's a big completion to what doesn't serve you, and a big celebration into the next version of your life. There is a beginning. There is something that has died away, and a lot has been gained from that wisdom and understanding and epiphanies and insights. And so really taking that with you and understanding the celebration that is here for you right now, that's really ruling this full moon for you. Welcome the divine masculine, meaning to really, are you narrating the world as that there's only shitty men in the world, or only people behaving in toxic masculine ways, or that you are driven by the old energies and the abusive energies to the feminine, that are just so abusive? Like, do you believe in the divine feminine energy, the divine masculine energy in the world, that is this beautiful energy that's protective, and the banks of the river, holding the river in place and giving it a place to be wild and raucous? Do you connect to that? Is there an integration with that within yourself? Fierce serenity of being in this power, within yourself, of a knowing and a trusting in your intuition, and a radical acceptance of what is, so that you're not frustrated or you're not upset, but you're able to then act in the way that you want to intentionally, and create the experience of life that you want, because there's just this fierce radical acceptance of right now, whatever it may be, and balance and a protection message saying that, like, what's making you feel good and what's making you not feel good, because whatever's making you not feel good, that is what is off. Like, it's not about equality, and it's not about balance is about, how do you feel balanced? It's very individual, it's very unique for all. When you're out of balance, when you're all out of whack, you're not sleeping right, you're not getting things done normally. But what was the problem with that old schedule or routine, or with the way things were? What was the problem with it? Why wasn't it working? And understanding that right there is how you can solve that issue. So it's really asking you to kind of do a little bit of a deeper dig on why the thing that's out of balance was not working the way it was, and getting it not back into that old place, but into a new sense of balance that feels really good to you. The now. So this is coming up really big for a lot of people. Get out of your head and into your heart, into that embodiment, into the body. All right, Scorpio. And also, Scorpio, just lastly, there can be a lot of things with this tough feeling with what's holding you back and what's limiting you and blocking you. There can just be this really tough challenge with that right now, and it's just kind of what's up for you with this full moon, but it's here to shift. All right, Sag, this full moon in your 11th house is all about people, your audience, groups, friendships, the greater whole, bringing your gifts to the world, standing in your power within pockets of collectives, and it's about that collective energy. So it's everything that's coming up for you around that: imposter syndrome, issues, doubts, fears, where you don't feel like you can be yourself, where you're scattered and distracted. And the sun and Arachne here in this 5th house is asking you to shine bright and really be fierce, and bringing your gifts, standing in the I matter, the place within yourself where you know that you matter and your gifts matter to the world, and it changes the world and affects the world in a grand way, and really standing in the power of that. This Pluto is asking you to claim the power of your ingenuity in your mindset, not think the same old way everybody else thinks, not do the group think thing, deal with the superiority issues, which is really inferiority. How can you heal that? Because the South Node is in your 12th house, saying there's old traumas and wounds from past lives and childhood and hidden stuff underneath that once healed allows you to stand in your power in your day-to-day life, your routines, your lifestyle, having the lifestyle you really want. And so there's just this harmony that's being asked of standing in, not being, powerless around your expertise in the world, not letting someone else say that they have an expertise over yours, that yours doesn't matter, yours is less than, or not claiming it or owning it because of imposter syndrome or because of fears or doubts. It's mindset. And mindset is not positive thinking. Mindset is questioning the brain. What thoughts are you thinking, and what are those thoughts creating? Because thoughts create emotions, emotions drive behavior and get you results in your life. If you're hopeful that you're going to make money, then you're going to end up doing things you don't want to do, hoping that it'll make money, instead of actually being like, I want to create money. Here's what I need to do, A, B, C, to create money from a place of certainty and certitude and taking actions. Really different vibe and energy. Hope is death. I don't recommend it unless you're apathetic or depressed. So hope kills. I need a t-shirt. Cozy up with risk. I called it. So it's saying that you need to take a risk, but what is risk to you? Risk is only risk to the person that feels at risk. Like risk isn't really like people used to say to me all the time, like, I can't believe you're so courageous. You just go across the country. Like I took a train trip to see Steely Dan in New York when I was in my early 20s. And I was just like, what do you mean? It's like fucking taking a train across the country. Like, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And I don't know, I didn't really, like, so courageous. I mean, I didn't really have like a whole lot of resources and stuff. Like I wasn't like going in luxury and style and whatever. I don't even think I had food, to be honest. I was just like, I'm getting to fucking see Steely Dan, damn it. I don't care. I'll make it happen. And but like people are like, you're so courageous. But for me, that wasn't risky. It was like, I must, like there's no other option. Like this is just me. Like I don't understand not doing it. But for them, that would have been this great risk and courageous to them. So do you see what I'm saying? That what a risk to one person is not a risk to another. So like, how can you narrate it differently? How can you think about it differently? It was all about your third house. So we have to question our mind, use our prefrontal cortex to question that primitive brain that wants to hold us back in fear and limiting beliefs. And, you're getting self-care messages, meaning that like, are you fully resourced as a woman? Have you had novelty, pleasure, connection, love, affection, taken baths, supported yourself, nurtured yourself, talked to your inner child? Are you meditating? Are you managing your brain? Third house, fearless expression, the microphone, like fearless expression, that ninth house, fearless expression, the sun in your ninth house to stand in your expertise. So another self-care message, Sag, what is going on here? Prosperity sisters are happiness and joy. So you're all in that serious attitude and not happy and not trusting joy to take you to the money. Joy, the reason why joy is so important is because it allows your frequency to rise, and it allows the downloads to channel in, and it allows you to be free of all the chains of the false programming, because the fears are all about the false programming, because there's actually nothing to fear. And in the end, if you die, like, why would you be afraid of that? And fearing, like, maybe not self-actualizing, yeah, that can like really suck. Overthinking can spoil the magic. You got a very clear message, Sag. It can't be more clear. You got to manage your brain. If you want the actual techniques that truly work to do that, come into She Alchemy. You can join us, or at least just find out all about it on the Goddess Astrologer by clicking the banner at the top of the page. It'll take you to a page where you can find out all about She Alchemy. All right, I hope that helps, Sag. And we will be managing our brain to create our wild, audacious life. What is the next part of the life you really want to live, because that's what we can begin creating right now. I know exactly what I'm creating in my life right now with purpose and intention. And I'd like to create Zoom working. Here we go. And there you go. Did it. All right. Capricorn, this full moon in the 10th house, your business, taking up space in this world. And that's a Capricorn theme. Like the legacy, the owning, the climbing up the mountain to look back before you go to the all that is and saying, oh, I'm going to grab up all these people and take them with me and have this amazing legacy. There's this movie I love with the Twin Towers where the guy, whatever his name is, was walking the high wire across the Twin Towers. So I love this movie because it's just like so amazing, like just this feat and what it takes for him to be so dedicated to get there. And Libra, to have this delegation of people, to have this community building organization of people to pull off this mission that was his big legacy, that is this inspiration. So watch that movie. I encourage you. I think that'll help you a lot, Capricorn. Wounds around people, relationships, groups, face that, because then you can go into this North Node of really in the 5th house of really expressing creatively and being more the you that's going to attract the relationship and the romance that you really want. And Jupiter, that Jupiter Sun conjunction will be in your 4th around the foundations, around really feeling grounded, really feeling secure, but within yourself, not based on externals. And so Arachne and the sun and Jupiter and goddess Xena here is like saying, hey, there is all of this beautiful independence and fierce, bold, courageous acting, this dauntlessness in this 4th house of your roots, your power, all coming from this sturdiness within you. That's so beautiful. Lilith asking you to let it be okay if people scatter or people don't like it or demonize you for standing in your power and bringing your heart, which means vulnerable strength. It means strong vulnerability rather than weak vulnerability in this 8th house of really claiming that the world is spirit first, that the world is based upon soul and spirit. Remember, the universe is talking so loudly to us. So this Pluto is offering this reclamation of power, of your ingenuity and your genius and money, abundance, your self-worth, valuing yourself, the MacGyver in you that really understands your genius, what you bring to the world, why you're so valuable, and valuing yourself at this next highest level and layer, which means what do you have to shed, what needs to go, what do you need to step into, what do you need to believe into to be in this level of this rebel self-worth. This full moon is really offering you something super powerful here, because it's really about bringing your gifts to the world. This full moon is saying, like, are you going to bring your gifts to the world in your sacred calling, in your business, in your legacy, which maybe you're a mom, and so you're shining light into this world, bringing love no matter what asshole comes across your path. You're like, I'm not doing that. I'm not engaging that. I am bringing love to this world and adding my ripple effect intentionally and consciously into this world by being who I am and choosing that. And so it's all about this 5th house of bringing your magic into this world and the legacy that you're leaving, how you're taking up space, Capricorn. So let's see what the cards want to speak to you about today. Creator, water, emotions. And with Capricorn, depending on where your Capricorn energy is at, obviously I talk about this reading being for the sun and the rising, but if your Capricorn's in your moon or your south node or in a place, it can be really stoicness, a unwillingness to feel, or difficulty feeling, a really like all your emotions are like a stalactite. They're all like the water dripped and just got stuck into this stalactite or stalagmite, and it's all calcified, and it's like breaking that open for the waters to flow through you, because then the earth becomes bountiful and rich, and it's not the dry Egypt, it's the the verdant verdure Nile that's fecund and beautiful, the light and the unexpected, like believing what's crunching you into a constipated Capricorn energy. How can you get out of that grumpy, like clock ticking energy and into the open wisdom, the earth wisdom of Capricorn, the learned one, the wizened one of experience and knowledge that you're meant to share. You're meant to use that to help the world, to organize and to build. And so seeing the good in places, like actively look for the good and expect to find amazingness. You know, once you get shown the light, you get shown it in the strangest of places, only if you look at it right. Welcome to Divine Masculine. So this card is so coming up so heavy. And so I just want to tap in and see what wants to come through for everyone, because it just keeps coming up over and over. There's some theme here. We have to create the Divine Masculine through our mind and our imagination and through our heart. It's the Divine Masculine. It has to come from our heart, which means because the Divine Masculine is a principle within all people, all humanity, no matter your sex, then we have to allow the masculine energy within ourselves to come from our heart. We have to recreate it into this world, each of us individually. That's the big message that wants to come through. It came through on Capricorn. I don't know what all other signs will see this, but that's the big message that wants to come through. I'll put this on a TikTok for everybody else. But it's really coming through strong that we need to create we rewired the masculine energy, everyone who was up for that in the Mars and Gemini cycle of nearly 8 months that we just went through. Now Mars is in Cancer, saying that the masculine is meant to be instinctual once again, because it is. The masculine's no less instinctual than the feminine. Why would it be? Instincts are a human quality. Intuition's a human quality, not a feminine quality only. We get the feminine masculine confused sometimes of what they are. And so really the masculine being based on love, bringing love to the toxic masculine, so that we can show the way and be the way showers. And as women, we are the hinge pin to humanity switching over that toxic masculine energy. So we have to be the example. We have to be the one leading. We have to be in our hearts to show that energy, to be the example of that energy. Like I want to be an example of my frequency and vibration in my heart and my love of bringing more love into this world. Creator alchemy, realizing that you create your reality. This being in a self-care message means that you forgot that you actually can change the reality with your imagination, with your thoughts. Are you managing your mind? Come into She Alchemy. It's where we do it all. Your life will change, I promise you. All right, Capricorn. There's a lot here, Capricorn, about finding the good, finding your happiness and your joy. Are you laughing? Are you fully resourced? Are you having connection? Are you having orgasms? Are you having amazing meals? What do you need to feel grounded? What do you need to feel connected? Do you have that? Because there's so much in your reading saying that you're not a fully resourced woman. So I have an episode called Are You Fully Resourced? It's on the podcast. I don't think it's maybe episode, it's not 139, but that's what's ringing a bell. It's an episode on there. If you go look for that episode, you'll find it. And it is really, really good. The Light Goddess podcast, link below the video. All right. Aquarius. So Aquarius, Pluto in your sign, and then going back and forth into Capricorn and back into your sign, the old and the new, the old and the new. But in your sign, it's so activating you. So it's just like a hot wire, you know, it's really this activation. It's this power, because Aquarius suns, Aquarius moons, like Aquarius moons particularly, but the Aquarius energy, it understands the greater. It just doesn't, it's not all up in the Scorpio dramas. It's just like, what are these people doing? You know, it just understands the light and the higher perspective of it all. And it's not up in the drama. this moon in your 9th house is like highlighting where you're just not feeling like an expert, you're not owning your power, you're having a hard time standing on stage, imposter syndrome, issues with that. It's really highlighting where maybe you didn't get the praise and aplomb for all the work you did, and there's just some grief to move through with that. Maybe there's some blocks to work with energetically, etc. You can find all that out very easily. There's always a solution. There's always a way, and there's always healing in the next layer of your beautiful life to step in. If you're staying stuck, if you're staying in the problem and you don't think that it can change and you're not doing something different, like, man, that's the opposite of Aquarius energy. And so Pluto is saying, like, reclaim the ingenuity of you, the inventiveness, the genius, rebel, radical, like, weirdo, unique person that you are. Bring that forward, like, really dance and revel and get creative. There's a provoking here for you to get creative around the wounds and to dance the wounds, sing the wounds, paint the wounds, like do something of moving the body and painting the body and like emoting, expressing, to move through the difficulties and the wounds that want to be healed right now. And you're getting the opportunity to heal them. And they are around like taking up space in this world, your reputation, how you've been looked upon, how your business has fared so far, what you've been able to create in your business so far. Reclaim your power in relationships, even if people don't understand or like it, or they got to go. And so this will really allow you to be on destiny when it comes to your center of rootedness and groundedness within yourself, your sense of security and safety that's within you, not based upon externals. And Venus ruling here is saying that it's really connected to emotions. Are you connected to emotions? Are you feeling emotions? Are you really looking to emotions? Are you identifying them, connecting with them, not pushing them down, not pushing them away? Because Aquarius is impersonal. Aquarius is, an air sign. It's cerebral. It's in the mind. You have to feel emotions because it's the connection to soul. It's Neptune. And there's no Uranus and Aquarius or Saturn without Neptune. It's all of it together. So this sun and Arachne and Jupiter is saying so much is here for you to create with your mind. So there's a new perspective on life, narrative of life, and a new mind to create, and a new blossoming and blooming that's happening right now with your mind, the way you're thinking, with you being in control of your mind, not letting your mind puppet you around, with getting some agency, getting some power, feeling empowered around all of that. And just understanding how you maybe didn't feel like you were on top of things, or really not getting it before. Maybe there's just some sadnesses about what you didn't get or understand, or what's happened, and just like the disconnection from higher truths or higher understandings. But there's such a blooming here. There's such a blooming of a new way of thinking and being in the world. And it's really meaning that you have to let relationships fall where they may, to stand in your power and not let people demonize you or say what they will. It doesn't matter. Because this Pluto is a reclamation power and your I am. So your identity, your character, your personality, your, who you walk around in the world as, there's this reclamation of power here for you. That's really beautiful. That is this light bringer, this ingenious one. All right, what cards want to come up for you, Aquarius? So the good kind, remembering that you're the good kind. This card is in a protection message. It's peach. It's just like, I think you can see the color a little bit, but I love this color. Not all the time. I wouldn't want it on everything, but this color pops up from time to time, and it's just nice. It's like a refreshing color that's like gentle and feminine and beautiful, and it feels good, and it feels safe, and it feels lovely. And it's like this card, the good kind, like saying like, you are good. You are a good person. Do you believe that? Have you programmed that into your subconscious? You are a good person. You are good. know you are of the good kind. You're a light goddess. You're here to bring light. You're here to bring love, and you already are. Look into your world and make a list of how you have brought love and affection and help and kindness and a smile and touched people's lives. You have to acknowledge and know all of the beauty that you bring and acknowledge it, because there's no acknowledging task force that's out there like, let's acknowledge everybody for all the good they're doing. Like, that would be a really cool idea. Like, if I was president, I think we need to do that. Change maker, make waves. You are a change maker. As an Aquarius, you're an ingenious radical rebel. You're revolutionary. You're supposed to make waves, knock down the walls, change things, like change the way we do things. If we didn't have the Aquarius archetype or principle, nothing would ever change or be different. So realize who you really are. You're meant to be a change maker. You're meant to be the waves in the ocean that get the surfers having fun. If there's no waves, then what's the point of surfing? You know, what's the, like, where's the fun at? So it's that Aquarius energy of happiness and joy and bringing that fun energy, the jokes and that social ability, skill set, raw intention. And this is really about getting back to the key within yourself, that thread within you that is like your baseline, that is this unique, you know, with Pluto there, it's a destruction of identities that you've been attached to that are limiting, holding you back, that were never yours, that you didn't choose, that were making you contort yourself into something that you're really not, and value things that aren't actually valuable and are not uplifting your life and taking you anywhere. And it's saying, get back to the raw intention of your heart. You are light. So, I mean, it's just like, you are good people. You are light. Like, there's just so many messages here. This is upright. Connect in, like, connect to the light. I am light. Like, use that energy. And then good people, it's like there, you have to kind of do a little bit of inner work to rewire that. All right, Aquarius, with Pluto in the 20 years coming up, November 2024, I'm going to give you another card. You are living poetry, but in a self-care message. So it's like, are you realizing all of the beauty of you and realizing that all of life is art and that you're creating life moment to moment, and like really being in the creation of your life as art moment to moment, instead of like that Aquarius future fear freaking you out shit. Like, let life be the poetry and create a verse moment by moment, moment by moment. All right, Aquarius. Pisces. Yep. All right, Pisces. So full moon in your 8th house, sex, sensuality, spirit being the reality of life, that this life is based upon spirit, based upon the intangible, the invisible, the metaphysical, the all that is what's animating all of life. And so there is possibly been a lot of sadnesses around your connection to the invisible realm, or the disconnection of that. And where has the bereftness been with the disconnection from the other side? And just, it's a phase. What are you doing to heal that? You're facing the wounds are in your expertise. Like, do you have the expertise to heal it? Are you relying upon other people? And that's where Libra, you know, it can bring up like that you need other people. We have to be a resource to each other, and you might be the one like helping people understand that, because a lot of the people in the world are really in this matrix program of like, individual, out for myself, dog eat dog, it's all up to me, and that's all just a big program and spell, and everyone needs to kind of get out from underneath it and help each other and be a resource to each other and share resources and share our knowledge and expertise with each other to all help each other rise. Because the point is that all of humanity rise, that the 80% rise up out of the slumber or out of the control from underneath the sociopaths and narcissists, and stop working for them, stop perpetuating their intentions in the world, and start creating your own intentions in the world and working for people who are creating good intentions in the world. And that was one of my big messages that I don't think I really said that particular thread, but that was one of my big messages of this full moon video, actually. But is that, like, if you work for somebody else, or if you work for yourself, is it for the light, for the people that are helping humanity to become a free humanity, a sovereign humanity? Because that's what all of this Aries, Jupiter and Aries, this next 12-year new cycle is all about. So that full moon in Libra, that's what this full moon's brought up, you know, and the sun and Arachne and Jupiter and Aries here in your second house of abundance and money. And so it's like this disconnection from the invisible is impeding abundance and money, and where, like, valuing yourself, where has been the pain points there, and how do you, like, how are you going to resolve it? Because it is resolvable. Do you have the way? Pluto is saying, reclaim your power with your creativity and your ingenuity and your fun and connecting to the dream, not the fantasy that is the escape, but reclaim your power of your imagination and dreaming. Like, remember when you're a kid and how you daydreamed so beautifully, and you like daydreamed whole worlds and put yourself in these scenarios and created these amazing imaginations. Now is your imagination used for doom and gloom, and it's constantly like feared out in these imaginations of things going wrong? You got to reclaim your imagination here. Pluto is saying there's a reclamation of power here through reclaiming your imagination to imagine what you want to happen, the good, the light, the beautiful, the wonderful things happening. Start with little tiny things that you can imagine easily to get that visualization and imagining and daydreaming faculty back under your conscious, prefrontal cortex, rational brain's control, and not under the primitive fear limbic brain that gets hijacked by all of the things that have gone wrong, the wounds, the traumas and things that have went wrong. It can hijack your ability to imagine and believe in the good again. And the Aries is the unicorn of the zodiac, like believing in the good. It just believes, and it just starts, and it just goes, and it instigates, and it's that pure life force, and that like, yes, like the excitement and the impulsivity, that's good impulsivity, like, come on, let's go, excited, let's do this. The North Node in Venus ruling this full moon in the third house is, it's like, definitely don't leave out your mind, and you being in control of your mind and what your brain is thinking, and questioning your mind, question your mind, and ask, are those thoughts, what are those thoughts creating? Are they, if those thoughts make you feel like shit, not good thoughts. If those thoughts make you feel good thoughts. Like, it's so simple. It's really that simple. You will master this skill in She Alchemy if you come join us. Soul aligned female tribe right there. Lilith is saying, reclaim your power when it comes to your fucking schedule, when it comes to your lifestyle, when it comes to your routines. What is the hiccup there, and how can you say no more to this problem? Why was there a problem? Like, you got to dig into it a little bit. Like, what's the lifestyle you really want? Like, if you were living the dream life, what would you be thinking? What would you be feeling? What would your day-to-day life be like in the energy and vibration and frequency of it? Not necessarily the actuals, but the frequency and vibration and energy of it, and tap into that in the life you have right now to keep going towards and creating the life you really want, and the lifestyle, the day-to-day routines and schedules. And routines aren't bad. And so it's like, what is the wiring in your brain that's thinking that like routines are bad or limiting or matrixy or whatever is there? There's this reclamation of power, which can be very isolating for a little while as you are reclaiming and infusing all your life with love. If you read the Celestine prophecy And those books, it can be very, maybe really nice to your heart to just read some good, easy breezy fiction that's fun and exciting, and kind of revisit those books. Like, I'm guessing you've probably read them, revisit those books and be like, like, yeah, infuse love into your day, into your room, into your desk, into your computer, into your work, into your moment, and really be in that beautiful Pisces love, like just artisticness, magical, mystical happiness and joy. And Pluto here, we talked about Pluto, and there's a need to be around people who can celebrate and who are into music, dancing, singing, chanting. Like there's a need to get with people who can do ritual and understand the power and the importance of that. Saturn in your first, realizing that part of the new reality you're creating is who you want to be, and you can recreate that anew. Any wounds are around standing in your expertise. All right, Pisces, what cards want to come up for you? Find your sacred flow. So there's really something big about your sixth house, schedules, routines, about your sacred flow that really feels good to you and is based on like a happiness and a joy and a being kind to yourself, that's based on a kindness and a tenderness to you, and what lifts you up and makes you happy and makes you feel good and makes you feel connected and grounded and in the sun, and the way that it's a flow, sacred flow of yes. So like, let your soul and your heart be guiding you instead of running off. How can you weed out the old things you used to run your day and your energy and your nervous system off of, to be in this flow? And you notice both these cards are the peachy color, the orange color, like sunshine, sacral chakra, very much that sacral chakra of the instinctual, spiritual, primordial happiness, joy, warmth, creative, fun, energy, laughing, art, painting, the green grass, the flowers, the trees, the bunnies. Like that's like, I having a hard time putting it into words, Pisces, but it's like, that's the images I'm getting. It's just the grass and the trees and the beauty, and just like connecting into that, but bringing it into your flow of your day, of how can you feel that energy about your day, nourish the sacred feminine, and a self-care message of like, what are you missing? Baths, salt is coming up really big. I'm hearing salt, a teaspoon of salt a day, morning and night, can help with anxiety. It helps to circulate. Sea salt, healthy, good sea salt that doesn't have additives in it is what I'm talking about. And it can, salt is what helps our blood circulate, and the nutrients to everywhere in our body that we need it. It helps with anxiety and stress. We need sea salt. We need good, healthy salt. And so think about that. Salt baths are coming up big. If you can be by the ocean, awesome. Bliss is worth creating from. So big message about the joy, the sunshine, like the sunshine, like being like the energy of which your day is. And then like all these cards, the colors, it's like, this is the energy I was getting in like my, in my visions, like trying to put it into words. Like, this is the energy I couldn't put into words. All these colors, like this vibe, this frequency, of just the softness, this tenderness, the feminine, the what makes you feel good and artistic and connected and grounded and love, and that beautiful feminine energy, and like in your artistry, in your artistic expression, in your beauty, and also the light and the unexpected. So don't give into the darkness, Pisces. Don't give into it. Okay. So just realize that, and befriend the word polarized, meaning like, it's not, it's just the principle that this universe operates on. And our society doesn't have to be polarized, actually. And that's what this species is young about, is immature. This species doesn't understand that It doesn't have to be polarized. It can be diverse in unity. And it's a maturity that we're going through. And it's okay that you understand that, and you understand the Gestalt and the higher perspective. And so you have to hold that for the morphogenic field for everyone else. So everyone else can come up to that perspective, because all you have to do is be one of the light bringers that holds that perspective for everyone else, so that it's in the zeitgeist. And then everyone else can run the 1 minute mile, because you've broken the 1 minute mile by holding that higher perspective. You don't even have to talk about it. You can just hold it in place. And so it's that Saturn and Pisces creating that in the world. It's really beautiful. So Pisces, I'm just really drawn. There's some just stuff that wants to come up through. What's the honest truth in a self-care message? And so when you're not doing what you want to do, like, how do you give your brain easy wins? How do you make yourself do it? Like, for example, if I can't exercise, I just get into my clothes, I get everything out and ready, and I just sit there. And it's like, well, I'm dressed. And finally, I just start to do it, even just a little bit, or stretch or move, because I'm already dressed and in my clothes. So I don't make it hard for my brain and think about like being finished or exercising hard. I just get in my clothes and get my mat out. And, you know, you give yourself those wins and that help. Like, don't make it so hard for yourself. Why make everything so hard? This ascension thing is fucking hard enough. Like, don't make it extra hard. Like, who said exercising had to be hard, or goals had to be hard, or all of that? Be gentle and tender with yourself along this journey. I'm sending you all so much love. I hope these sun sign horoscopes were helpful. Follow me on TikTok at the Goddess Astrologer for daily astrology. And if you would like to change your life and be the audacious, wild woman that's amazing, here to change the world that you are, then come into She Alchemy. You can go to thegoddessastrologer.com. This is powerful. Talk to you soon.